Hello, everybody. I've been thinking about Psalm 68 this week and I came across some amazing images. It's a psalm I know quite well. It's that one that starts by saying, "May God arise and may his enemies be scattered." And it's really talking about when you just long for God to come and do his will and make things okay. And it's not clear in the psalm whether it's talking about a battle that's happened and they've been victorious, or whether they're kind of praying in advance and in faith saying God will come through in this situation. And of course the Old Testament uses the metaphor of battle a lot, to mean God's kingdom coming, God's will being done, God's sovereignty, and all these kinds of things. And we often find that really unpalatable because, well, certainly I personally am not keen on military interventions and the wielding of power to subdue others. But the Bible's really using that as a metaphor. That's where the people were at in that period of history. And I think, it's still got a lot to teach us about the nature of God if we can see past the image, down to the message. So I came across this amazing image in that psalm, and I know the psalm quite well, but for some reason I'd never kind of stopped and really thought about the image before. And it's in verse 13, and it's talking about the fact that the when the kings and armies flee, it's the women who will actually take hold of the situation and represent God. So it says, "Kings and armies flee in haste. The women at home will divide the plunder. Even while you sleep among the sheepfolds, the wings of my dove are sheathed with silver, its feathers with shining gold." And so you've got this image of the women kind of after the battle, sleeping peacefully. Some commentators say it's sheepfolds, others say it's pots or saddlebags, or but whatever it is, it's a kind of domestic, mundane sort of image, and it's saying, look, the women are going to sleep in peace and they're going to divide the plunder. And there's a kind of sense in which it's the women who are kind of singing the song and doing the biz back at home and keeping body and soul together. And I don't find that a degrading image. I find that a really powerful image, just of the influence that women have on the domestic situation, how that can be used. And of course, when you translate that into our society, we're very fortunate that we can have positions of influence in all sorts of spheres. And as a woman myself, as an ordained woman, I know what it's like to feel the disapproval of others, but also to know the amazing privilege that God gives us to have some influence in society and in situations in people's lives. So I find that powerful image. And the bit that really struck me was the idea of the wings of my dove. And some people say that's the dove of Christ. Some say it's actually a metaphor for the women. But, whether or not that's the case, and I kind of see it as the spirit of God, the dove, and God saying, "The wings of my dove are sheathed with silver and its feathers with shining gold." And so I've been kind of sitting with that image, particularly alongside all the political turmoil going on in the UK at the moment, and thinking about just what God has to say in terms of trusting him through difficult situations and through uncertainty and through pain and all the rest of it. And particularly, when we feel like we haven't got any influence. So there's all these things being decided about the future of our relationship with our neighbouring countries. And there's very little any of us can do about it, actually, sitting at home with our pots or our modern day equivalent of our saddlebags or our sheep pens or whatever it might be. So I did this page last night, and I just stuck a picture in from a magazine, did a bit of watercolour on the background, bit of washi tape around the edges, and then I've got these lovely stickers. They're not doves, obviously, they're peacocks, which I got from Lidl, and they're really gold and shiny. So I just whack those on. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a space to write some prayers. So I thought I'd just come on camera and share this the creation of the page with you. And I'm just finishing off the edging with some peacock feather washi tape here. And what I've done is I've just done a very simple colour wash over the top of the paper to match the blue on that side. And I'm using my Pastel Dreams from Prima Marketing here. And you probably saw I just blobbed some water on the pans before I started because it just helps to release the paint. So I think I'm going to overlap that out into that far corner and just pop that washi tape down just to edge the page and to give the image of the feathers of God. And of course I'm also thinking of the verse in another psalm where it says he will cover you with his feathers and under his wings you'll find refuge, and that image of feathers being God's care and protection on our lives. And so I've just got that there. Now I'm going to, when this is dry, and I'll do this off camera, just write my prayers and my thoughts as I keep thinking about the psalm. There's an awful lot in it and it's quite hard to work out exactly what it is meaning for us. But the obvious message is actually, no matter what's going on, no matter how the odds are stacked against you, you can trust God and he's in charge. And that's a really hard thing to take hold of, I think, particularly in the face of national politics, because you see all that, the machinations and so forth, and it's not always clear that God's in charge. And then we look at the politics in other countries and it's even less clear sometimes. And it may be that people do make bad decisions and there are things that happen that aren't the will of God, but ultimately if we don't trust him, we're sunk. So I'm just putting another peacock down there. And I do believe in the power of prayer. I'm not quite sure how it always works out in practice because I'm very aware that awful things do happen, even for those who pray. And there are no easy answers to that, but at the end of the day, all we're left with is the choice to trust or not. And I think this psalm is one that really helps us to trust. And as I say, there's this amazing image in it of the women just lying down in peace, and this thing about the dove with its shining feathers. So I'm really not full of answers or anything very wise or clever to say, but just sitting with this image and praying that God will show me what I need to take from it and what I can learn. So these stickers here are just from Lidl. I got them a while ago. I did a little haul video on them actually over on my Dane Journaling channel, and they're really, really shiny. They're kind of rosy gold, sort of rusty rose gold sort of colour. And so I've got those there coming down the page, and I've got lots of space to write things. But before I finish, I'm kind of thinking like I might put a bit more goldy, silvery sort of something on this page. And I've pulled out a few things. So I've got my heavy body acrylics from Pepe. I've got a silver and a gold there. I've got the Sparkle Medium from Imagination Crafts, the lovely gel. And then I've got my Liquitex Gold Ink, which I absolutely love. And I think I might start with that. Actually, no, I think I'm going to start with some silver. So I'm back on the old chopped up credit card here, or debit card in this case. And it's still wet, which it shouldn't be really. I shouldn't be putting acrylic over wet watercolour, but hey, see what happens. So I'm just going to do a little bit of gold, and it'll still be fine to silver, sorry. It'll still be fine to write on. Gel pen works beautifully over most paint mediums actually. So I'll just be using more black gel pen like I used up there, and I'm just putting a bit of silver on. It's not mega sparkly, this silver, but it definitely shines in the light. There's a good sermon illustration. So just popping that across there. There we go. Sorry, I'll make that bit a bit thicker. So that's great. And then I think I'm going to pop a little bit of this gold. And this is quite a matte gold. It's not very shiny, but it is lovely and goldy. See there? Kind of on the page there, and it just adds a bit of an accent. And if I had it thicker, like if I put it on like that, it does start to get quite shiny. There we go. So I don't want to cover up all the watercolour. I want to leave some showing. So I'm just being a bit careful where I put that and having the thicker bits kind of coming out from the edge. There we go. That's fine. So this is not obviously a precise art. And then what I'm quite tempted to do is do a bit of splatting with this. This can get very messy. So this is the Liquitex gold ink, and you get this little dropper, and you can just do a bit of splatting. And really, I'm going to be asking God to show me what this gold and silver actually represents for us on the wings of the dove. And is there, on that side as well, is there anything that, you know, we should be doing in response to that, or praying in the knowledge of that about our situation? And certainly, you know, the knowledge that there is a dove hovering over it all, and that you can see the amazing victory images all through the Old Testament does kind of help. And finally, let's just go for it all. I'm going to pop a bit of this. Now I've done a few, I've done a video on this on Jane Journaling, and I've also been posting, I've been using this stuff loads. And so in the Creative Life Journaling Facebook group, I've been posting lots of pictures of different things I've done with this, and it works brilliantly with stencils, mixed media stencils. Anyway, just popping a little bit of that around the edges. And this is really sparkly. You can't see it so much at the moment, I don't think, but that corner, it really is, and it sticks to anything. So it's sticking to this waxy washi tape absolutely fine. Over here as well, and it gets everywhere. So I don't know if you noticed, when I was painting, there was little flicks of gold appearing in the watercolor, and that's just because I'd been using this on my brush and obviously hadn't cleaned it properly, so it was then transferring itself into the watercolor pan as I was using the water on the paint. But I'm never going to object to a little bit of sparkle. So there we go. So when that's dried, I might come back and copy out some more verses from the psalm, and I'll certainly then be using this bottom half to write some prayers for the current situation, and maybe just asking some questions of God. And I really like doing that, particularly writing prayers, because then, you know, in 6 months' time, when the situation is different, I'll come back and I'll see those prayers of my heart crying out to God, and really realise the way in which He has responded and answered. And sometimes it does take a long time to see what's happening in heavenly terms, but you know, that's where the trust comes in. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.